me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
It's finally time to tell my story. So when I was an undergrad, somewhere around like 2011, 2012, I went to CarMax, bought my first big girl purchase by myself, no co-signer, you know. It was a used car. It was a 2009 Jeep Compass, and I loved that little thing. So I spent all day at the dealership, and it was late at night. I had to drive back to my dorm, so that was like an hour away, right? By the time I get to the free parking lot, it's already dark outside. I reach in the back seat to grab my backpack, and guess what's staring at me? It was a little Asian girl. Scared the shit out of me. I grabbed my stuff so fast, I darted to my dorm room, closed the door, and when I tell you I was huffing and puffing and super scared, because what did I just see? I know I did not see what I know I saw on day one. So the very next day I called my grandmother. This is very important because my grandma is Chinese and Jamaican. Not to mention she's a medium. She sees spirits and she talks to people all the time. So I'm just like, she gotta have something to do with her because those are her people. So I asked my grandma, has anybody in our family lost a little Asian girl like that was like 3 or 4 years old? She says, no, doesn't sound familiar. Why, what's up? So I tell her what I saw in the car, and she says, oh, no, she's there to protect you. It's fine. Winter's approaching. I've been walking to work this whole time. Bought a car, hadn't even drove it because I'm scared. Eventually, I talked myself into, okay, just drive during the daytime, maybe talk to her, see if you can get anything out of her. So for a couple months, I tried talking to her, got nothing, no response. She would just stare. She would just sit and look at me. Eventually, I guess I just kind of warmed up to her, like she's just gonna be here. Like I don't know what to do. Like this is still my car. And anytime I would have people in the car, she would just disappear. Like she knew what her role was. Fast forward, and this girl has now been riding in my car for almost 5 years. Still doesn't talk. At this point, I'm in grad school at the Med Center. I'm dirt broke. I'm working multiple jobs, and I'm driving for Uber and Lyft on the side. Right. The last time I saw her was when I was getting ready to go out to go drive. That night, I got a ride request to go pick up somebody from the casino. Turns out it was my classmate from the Med Center. So we're chopping it up in the car, right? I come across this intersection. It's a 4-way intersection, and at the red light, there was an officer sitting there just waiting at his red light. I remember just kind of glancing down, making sure that I was going the right speed limit, and boom, I got hit. It was a big black Suburban. The guy was drunk. And he kept driving after he hit my car, and the only reason why he stopped is because he hit a tree. The officer saw everything happen. It was all caught on the dash camera. I'm gonna just be real with you. That night, should have been dead. Okay, he ripped the whole front end of my Jeep off. It was to smithereens. There was nothing. There was like, I can't even explain. Airbags had deployed. I'd never been in a car accident before, so I didn't know airbags were white. I thought I was in heaven. And I remember being so angry because everybody said when you die, you're so peaceful. I was angry. I was a telephone operator. I was working like 2 and 3 jobs. I was putting myself to grad school, and I was miserable. And I was just like, God, this is how you gonna do me? Eventually, I come to it because now I hear the girl in the back seat of my car screaming, Larissa, we gotta get you out. Larissa, we gotta get you out. And I was like, oh shit, I'm not dead. Okay. When I stepped out of my car, my shoe was across the street. When I tell you I got hit so bad, my car spun across 3 different lanes. The whole front end of my car was missing, gone, smithereens, just smoke. Obviously, the officer runs him down. And then his girlfriend gets out the car. You get off my man. He didn't do nothing to me. You get off my man. And I just remember sitting on the curb like, what just happened? So we start the lawsuit process. Fast forward, about a year later, it's my birthday. Me and my best friend are going to go to the spoken poetry word slam thingamajig. Just because I just wanted to get out the house. You know what I mean? And out of the corner of my eye, I see this guy sitting at a table, and I am so intrigued because I just want to know, what is he doing? He's got like tarot cards. So best friend was like, go talk to him. Like, go get a reading. I said, no. You don't understand. My people are Jamaican. We don't do, I'm not disturbing nothing. Plus, I already know what I know that I don't tell people. So I did this reading with her right by my side because I'm a little nervous. So I sit at this guy's table. He has me hold out my hands. He puts all these little animal bones and trinkets and stuff. And he says, let the pieces fall where they may fall. And he said, by the way, happy birthday. I said, what? How did he know it was my birthday? Oh, I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing there. It takes a while to evaluate the pieces, and he goes, so there's a lot here I want to talk to you about, but the first thing I need to ask you is, tell me about your car accident. I said, got hit by a drunk driver like a year ago. Yeah, okay, what? He says, no, tell me what really happened. I never told anybody about this. I never told anybody about this. What do you mean? To the best of my knowledge, I'm trying to remember exactly everything. And I tell him I got hit by a drunk driver. He was going pretty fast. T-boned my car, but it only hit the front end of my car. I don't know how it didn't hit me. And he said, so what about the little girl that's in the car? I said, I'm playing dumb. Why am I playing dumb? He knows this stuff. He clearly does. I don't know this man. I've never met him. So I tell him, yeah, okay, there's a little girl that's been in my car for, a couple of years or whatever. He said, do you know that she turned the wheel for you? I said, what are you talking about? He said she cut the wheel to save your life because she died in that car and she didn't want you to die. He's right. That was the last time I saw her. I asked him, can you like give me more information? Who is she? Why was she here? Is she in my family? Like, there was like really no other information. She's not related to me at all. She just didn't want to see me die in that car. So during that reading, he did ask me some other questions and stuff, but he told me, you're a medium and I need you to start acting like it. For the sake of not sounding crazy, I've never told anybody else outside of my mom and my grandma and my family that I be seeing shit, but I don't be saying shit. Nothing, like, it's just normal. But like, I know that you don't talk about that stuff out loud because it freaks out people. How did he know this? I don't know. He said, you have abilities that can put me out of business, and I need you to really lean into that. Well, he's right. I am a medium, and I'm not that great at it. I'm honestly scared about everything, and I do not trust being in the dark. Side note, I've never had anything evil or wicked happen to me. I've always felt protected. I still feel protected. But if you want to hear another story about how I saved my dad's life by telling him he has cancer, let me know.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
I have been umming and ahhing about whether or not I want to do this video for two reasons. One, the Audacity Stitch trend has been all over my For You page this weekend, but I'm like a month late to it being called to talk about, and that gives me the ick. But also, I don't make content on this channel anymore, so I don't know if anyone's here or if anyone cares, but then I just sort of figured this story is so crazy that actually it's quite nice to put it in a video so that I don't forget any details, because it wasn't that long ago. And I've told my friends and I've told some family, and everyone's like, that is nuts. So I was like, well, if anyone does care about it, then we can have a conversation about it and I can share a couple more stories. But to give context, I have always felt like the heebie-jeebies, do you know what I mean? Like a sixth sense, spidey sense. Something's going on. Like, I would never go upstairs on my own. I would always have to be escorted because I'd feel like there's somebody watching me in the hallway, little things like that, like going on holiday feeling like I'm not alone, loads of little things. But it really got validated like 2 years ago, where my grandma on my mum's side passed away, and it was kind of sudden. She lived like 3 hours away, so we didn't get the chance to go up there. We were told there was more time, and it kind of happened quite quickly, and we were like, so anyway, probably like 2 or 3 weeks after she had passed, my mum had gone up to the house and seen my uncle, and they had cleared things in the house. I didn't go. Actually, none of us did. It was just my mum. But I had this super vivid dream, like, you know, the type where you feel like it's real. It was wild. And basically in this dream, it's me, my brother, and my grandma, who we call May. So it's me, James, and May. And we're in May's house. In my head, it's her house. In actuality, it's like not her house at all. It just, in my head it was. And she's walking around clear as day, and she's talking to me and James are clearing things out of her house in my dream. And she's going, yeah, you know, like, now that I'm past, now that I've gone, there's some things I want you to have, and blah blah. And I was like, me and James were going, May, like, stop being silly, don't talk like that, like, dismissing it. And she's going, no, we need to like face the fact. And she was really aware, talking to me and James, she was really aware that she was no longer part of this world, right? She then goes, come with me, I've got some things I want to show you. And we're like, okay. So we walk upstairs, and on the bed is our cat, and our cat had passed away like 2 years before my grandma had. And I was like, Dango! The big fat ginger Fluff was on the bed, and I was like, no way, Dango, oh my god. And I went over and I was snuggling with him, and I was like, May, this is so cute. And behind me, May and James are talking, and she's going, yeah, there's a few things that I really want to show you. And James, all of a sudden, James behind me is going, oh my god. And I was like, what? And he's like, look what May's just given me. And he turns around a box, and there's like an old men's watch. And I was like, that's cool, where's that come from? And May was like, it's your granddad's, you should have it, it's yours. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know. And then she goes, Victoria, there's something I really need you to have. And she's going, you know, there's jewelry, there's so much, but like, there's this one thing that I really want you to have. She roots around in the wardrobe and she pulls that out, and she is emphatic about it, like she is buzzing, and she's like, you need to have this. And I look down, and it's a matchbox, and I was like, that is so weird. James goes, what is that? And I was like, I don't know. And May's going, it's a matchbox, it's like so old, your granddad gave this, you have to have it. She was so adamant that I had to have this little matchbox, and I was like, okay. And then I woke up, and I was like, that was crazy vivid. Like, so much detail, so much communication, so much like awareness that she was no longer here. I have to tell someone. So I went onto my group chat with my mum and my brother, and I was like, guys, this is gonna sound real freaky, and hear me out, but I've just had a crazy dream. Recounted the dream to them, and my mum was like, I don't know, like, your uncle has the watch, like, that's nothing new, and I don't know anything about this matchbox. And I was like, yeah, I figured that's the case, but just in case you see anything, let me know. But it's probably nothing like this has ever happened before, FYI. Like, I've never hallucinated or had nothing like that, so this was like so random. Anyway, 2 days later, me and my mum go to a cafe, and we sat down, we're chatting away, having a coffee, and she goes, that dream that you had? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, tell me about it. So I explained the story, and she was like, can you describe what you saw? And I was like, well, you know, she was talking about like jewelry, but also she got this matchbox out and she was so excited about it. And I was like, it was little it's from Lidl. It was little, it was super old, like you could tell that it used to be white, but now it's kind of like tea stained, had like red markings on it, but I didn't see anything inside. She just wanted me to have it. And she was like, you know how I went to May's house like 2 weeks ago to go and clear things out with your uncle? And I was like, yeah. She was like, I found a matchbox. And I was like, what? I was like, am I gifted? What's going on? And I was like, no way. And she was like, yeah, but it just had like pearls in it. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, like looks like a necklace, like pearls or bracelets or something had been broken, and they were all kept in this matchbox. And I was like, fuck off. It's like, she told me about jewelry and she wanted me to have this. That's jewelry in that matchbox. I was like, I was like, please tell me you've got it. And she was like, no, I threw it in like a bag that's going to the charity shop. I just thought it was like trash. And I was like, do you know what? It happens. Maybe there was something there, who knows. Anyway, my mum was obviously thinking about this the whole way home, and she calls my uncle and she goes, Phil, have you got those bags of the charity like stuff? And he was like, well, I gave it to charity like yesterday morning. And she told him the story, and he was like, okay, well, that's kind of weird. Here's the number to the charity shop, so call him. And she calls this guy, and there's probably like, I don't know how many bin bags, but there's a lot of bin bags of stuff in there, like clothes, items, ornaments, all sorts of stuff that you just don't have any use for. We kept the sentimental bit, do you know what I mean? And she calls this guy who she's never spoken to, and she goes, I'm going to sound mental, but my brother came in here 2 days ago with a load of bags, and there's one thing. And she told him the story, and he was like, oh yeah, I know that matchbox. It's got like pearls in it. Yeah, I thought it was rubbish, but I just kept it to like one side for some reason. And she was like, no way. It's like, why would you keep that to one side? There's just a like grotty old matchbox with like broken part. Like, why would you? I don't get it. Anyway, so she then, next time she goes up to where my my uncle lives and where my grandma lived, she goes to this charity shop, and he keeps them for her, and she gives them, and she shows me this matchbox, and I was like, get in the bin. That is the exact thing that I explained. I couldn't believe it. It was freaking me out. And then she was like, and also she was like, behind closed doors, because I didn't want to like freak you out, I've been looking through photo albums to try and figure out what the pearls are. And she was like, they're not real. But when I got to the wedding photos of my granddad and my grandma, she's wearing a pearl necklace with those pearls. And so, to make sure that you've got the receipts, because I know some of you are going to call shit, and that's fair enough, because I would, but I swear on my dog's life, she brings me this matchbox, and I put it in this little, I got this like ornament made. Look, the tea stained with the red, it's old, and there's a couple of the leftover pearls because we got them made back into the necklace that was on her neck for the wedding. So these are like the pearls that were in the matchbox, and there she is. This is what my grandma handed to me in my dream. Just to round this up, because I realised I didn't say it, the like logistical brain that my other half and my dad have been doing is like, you obviously have seen it. I have never been through her wardrobes. I never went through her stuff. I never went through cupboards. Like, I just had never done it. I probably stayed in her room 3 times when we stayed over, and I was literally in the room, in bed, in toilet, leave. That's it. So I have never been through her house. I have no recollection of any matchbox or watch or anything, of like nothing, absolutely nothing. So the whole thing's crazy. I am, you know, gifted queen. Anyway, this is like an 8-minute TikTok, so that's enough now. Anyway, okay, bye.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
My dad's side of the family has experienced a lot of tragic deaths, one of which was my dad's brother Richard, who passed Before I was even born, he passed in a car accident in the middle of the night. And sadly, he and my dad were not on speaking terms at the time of his passing. They had just gotten into like a sibling spat. And about a week after his passing, my mom said she remembers laying in bed and getting a phone call. My dad rolled over, picked up, kind of mumbled a few words, and then hung up and laid back down. And my mom was like, "Who was that? Like, who called us in the middle of the night?" And he said, "Oh, it was just Richard. He was calling to tell me that everything's okay." And I can remember hearing the story and just getting immediate goosebumps. It never left my mind. Fast forward 15 years later, I'm living on the other side of the country with my dad's sister for an internship, and my cousin and I are kind of having, a catch up, telling family stories, and I bring up the story to him, and he just goes white in the face, and he says, You're kidding me. There's no way, right? That's not true." And I said, "Oh, absolutely. That's 100% true." So he's like, "Stay here." He runs down, he grabs my aunt, and my aunt's like, "You're not going to believe this, but I have almost the exact same story." A week later, after Richard's passing, she hears commotion in the house and she thinks someone's breaking in. It's in the middle of the night. So she tells my uncle to get up and kind of go sweep the house and see what's going on. As he's doing that, she said she feels a presence in the room, but she's not scared. It's calm. And she just feels a spirit walk over to her, lean down in bed, and give her a kiss on the cheek. And she said, "I knew it was my brother. I just knew." And she said, "I didn't kind of tell anyone at first because I didn't want to freak the family out. But eventually I told my mom, my Grammy, who had almost to a T the exact same experience. About a week after Richard's passing, she feels a presence in the room. He walks over, he leans over her in bed, he gives her a hug, he gives her a kiss, and she said it was the most warm, calming, sweet presence she's ever felt. And just to know that a week after, Richard visited 3 family members across the country just to let them know that he was okay.
Y'all know that lady that is going viral for asking people to tell their ghost stories that are completely unbelievable, but they're actually true? Well, I tried to stitch her video, but my stitch isn't working for some reason, so I'm going to tell y'all right here. Me and my sister and my mom, we used to stay in this house that sat right in front of a graveyard. Me and my sister's bedroom was located in the back of the house right beside the graveyard. And we used to always have a pile of leaves in our backyard because we had trees in our backyard. And y'all know how when y'all walk on leaves, it makes that sound. It sounds like you're walking on leaves. But anyways, on a Wednesday around 11 o'clock at night when everybody else was asleep, I really didn't go to sleep because I'd be up on social media. But I kept hearing like leaves rustling in the backyard, like somebody was walking on them. And you can hear the walk start off far and then get close to our back window because of the leaves. And every time that walk got close to our back window, it would be a little tiny tap on our window. And like I said, I'm the only one that's up at this point. But me, I'm just thinking it's the wind or something. So I just went back to scrolling on my social media. But I kept hearing the walk get far and then get near, get far and then get near. And it was like a walk that was slow. And every time the walk got back near to our window, the knocks on our window got louder. So I decided to get up and look out the window, but there's nobody there. And all of a sudden the walk just stopped. And for some reason, that only happened every Wednesday around 11. So one Wednesday, my sister decided to stay up with me because she wanted to see for herself because she thought I was just paranoid that we moved beside the graveyard. So she stayed up with me until 11 o'clock and it happened again. We would hear somebody walking back and forth from our bedroom window and knocking on our bedroom window. My sister decided that we should tell our mom, and we did, but my mom took it as somebody was trying to break in our house, so she called the police. And the police searched the backyard but couldn't find nobody. But of course, me and my sister knew that they wasn't finna find nobody. But fast forward, me and my sister used to play around and we gave each other nicknames. My nickname was Sarah. I forgot her nickname. But we was the only people who knew our nicknames that we gave each other. But anyways, on a Wednesday, my sister, she had went to church. And I usually go, but for some reason, I didn't go that time. So that left me in the house alone because my mom was at work. And I already know what happens on Wednesdays. So I didn't even go to our bedroom. I sat right in the living room until everybody came home. But as I was sitting in the living room, I kept hearing this tiny knock on the front door. And I already had a clue of what was going on, so I didn't even go to the front door. But as I just sat and waited for the knock to stop, it actually got louder. So I just turned on a movie and started watching a movie until my sister came home. She was about to come home, and I think in about an hour anyways. Then all of a sudden, an unknown number had called my phone. And I answered it, and they just kept saying, Sarah, Sarah. You know, the nickname my sister gave me. So at this point, I thought it was my sister playing around. And I said my sister's name. I said, is this you? Like, I got excited. But after I said that, they hung up. So it was about time for my sister to come home. And when she walked through the door, and I'm like, why is you playing on my phone and you at church? She was so confused about what I was talking about. So I said, somebody had called my phone, and they was like, Sarah, Sarah, and only me and you know our nicknames. She was like, my phone is dead. My phone went dead like a few minutes after I left to go to church. So I thought she was playing. So I took her phone and I tried to turn it on, but it was actually dead. Baby, I was so scared. We moved out the house like a month later, but for real, that experience was scary.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely.
Okay, so I finally decided to hop on this trend. So my story takes place back when I was like 8 or 9 years old. We had just moved into our new house. Every week, every day, we would pull up to this house, watching it get built from ground up. Ground up. So no one else lived here but us. So we move in, everything's great. This is our first house with like upstairs, downstairs. So we were super excited about that. We just think we moved into a mansion. Like, keep in mind, we came from, you know, like apartments. We had a house, but it was just like one story. So we thought we was the shit. So we're probably living there like a month or so. And me and my sister, we share a room. The way the room is set up, it was right when you walk in, there's my bed, there's a closet, and then there's a little space, and then there's another twin bed. We both had twin beds, and then we had our little dresser in between us. So it was bed, dresser, bed. In the front was another dresser, closet, my bed, space, my sister, window. So one night, I'm sleeping. I wake up at like 3 something in the morning, and I just look over, you know, you're just waking up. I guess just case in the room. So I look around, and then there's something laying like on my sister's bed, but I think I'm tripping. So I'm like, nah, going to just come back. Still looking at me. It has these red beady eyes, these ears that just like, I don't know, they just came out like that. And then it was just laying fetal position to her. So where her feet were is where the head was, and where her head was is where the feet was. And it was looking back at me. So in that moment, I just did what my dad told me to do if I ever get scared, which is pray. So I went under the blankets, I started praying, never lifted my head back up, woke up the next morning, whatever. I didn't say shit to nobody. So the next day comes, I don't say nothing to nobody. Another little backstory is so when we first moved in, my dad always had his room door open. His room door was upstairs on the side next to the stairs. Always had the room door open. You know, wants to hear everything. We're not allowed to go downstairs after everybody sleeps. So that was his thing, making sure nobody's going downstairs to eat or drink or nothing like that. Probably also to break, like, you know, break-ins and whatnot. But so a little bit before I seen that, my dad started closing his room door. We're all thinking, free willy-nilly. We can go downstairs at any point. He's not gonna hear us. We can get our midnight snacks. It's summertime, so you know, we out there eating up everything in the damn kitchen, literally. So that's that's just remember that part. So the next day comes. Now it's time to wind on down and head into bed. And I start begging my sister, please, Jasmine, please, can I just sleep in your bed tonight? Please. And she's older, so she's like, no, you're not sleeping in my bed. Like, no, we're not doing that. You're too old. You're not sleeping in my bed at all. So I'm just begging. I'm like, please. I'm not telling her why. I just really, really just, please, can I please sleep in your room? So she finally is like, sure, why not? Like, sleep in here if you want. But I'm sleeping next to the window. So with her sleeping next to the window, that means that I'm sleeping where the thing is that I just seen the night before. So win's a win. I get to sleep in her bed, so I'm not even really like I'm tripping, but I'm not tripping because at least I'm not sleeping alone. You feel? So the night happens, and sleep. Y'all know what happens next. You wake up at 3 in the morning, like we always do. So I wake up at 3 something, and as soon as I open up my eyes, guess what's there? It's laying on my bed. The head is on my pillow. The body is just covering my twin bed. I mean, it was just like, I don't know. It was like, I want to say like a glob of darkness, but it was just like a black, like big thing that just covered up my bed. The beady eyes were just staring at me. And I'm staring at them. And then go under the covers. And I'm like, fuck this shit. Pray, go to sleep. So then the next day happens. So, like I said, it's summertime. So when I come downstairs, my parents, everyone's down there eating breakfast. And then as I'm coming down the stairs, 'cause I was the last one to make it down, I hear my dad talking about, he's seen it again. We need to get a priest up in this house. So I chime in. I'm all, hey dad, actually I think I see the same thing that you seen yesterday. He's like, no, there's no way. What did you see? So I tell him what I seen. And my dad's like, you know what? No, you're tripping. You're just trying to say that you seen the same things I seen because you're tripping. You didn't see shit. There's nothing in this house. This house is brand new. So of course, you being a kid, you're just like, all right, maybe I'm tripping. So a couple days later, we had a priest in our house. He was blessing every room, left holy water with us. And honestly, I did not see that shit again. But a couple years passed, so around 2018. So think about it. I was in 3rd grade, way back when. So that's probably like I'm an adult at this time. So my aunt, she does magic. She's in town. So my dad decides that he wants to bring up the story again. But when he brings it up, we're all in my grandma's house, and he's like, you know what, Jessica, step outside with us. So I step outside. I'm talking to my aunt, I'm telling my dad, because my dad's like, tell her the story, tell her what you seen. So then I start telling her. I'm like, tell her exactly what I just told y'all. And then my dad looks at me. He was like, Mija, what you seen was real. You weren't tripping out. So yeah, he ends up telling me the reason why he was closing his room door and all that was because that thing would cover up his room door and just be staring at him in the middle of the night. So he started closing his room door. So yeah, that was one of many instances that happened at the house. Yeah.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true. I'll go first.
Okay, so in my house growing up, my childhood bedroom was attached to the attic. It was in my closet, and there was like this little wooden door on the other side behind my clothes. And when you opened it, you couldn't actually see into the attic. You could only see up the stairs that would take you to the attic. So I never messed with it. I just left it alone. I was like, I don't want to, this is too much. So I would barricade it. I would just leave the escape ladder for a fire in front of it. So I knew that if it was opened, I would hear it. And for a very long time, I always felt like there was a presence in my room. I didn't really know what was going on. It never felt like I was truly alone, and I was an only child of only children. So like your girl was alone all the time. And I eventually moved my room around to the point where I had this little desk that was like a triangle style desk, so it went straight into the corner. And one night, I woke up in the middle of the night to my bunny rabbit banging against his crate, which he would do almost every night at almost the same exact time, 3:34 a.m. And one night I look over under this desk, and there's this little boy under there. And I can tell he's not real, but like I don't really know why I can tell he's not real. It's just maybe he was just like fainter. I just could tell he wasn't a real person. And I wasn't scared. He wasn't scary. He was just in this little like ball kind of sitting under my desk, and he just looked sad. He just looked sad. And I mean, I didn't love that he was there, but I really didn't mind it too much, maybe because I was half asleep. So I went back to bed, woke up, he was gone, obviously, and I just kind of I went through my day, whatever. And every so often, I would end up waking up to my bunny at the same exact time, and he would just be under this desk in my bedroom. And my parents didn't believe in ghosts, and I didn't really tell anyone about it because I was just like, this is weird. What if I'm dreaming? I don't know what's really going on. That wasn't a conversation that my family and I had about ghosts, whatever. And I just kind of let it be. But as I got older, he never really went away. And I would always just get really creeped out in my house as I got older, and my family never understood why. Like, I didn't really like for it to be dark. I had a nightlight for years, like well into my teenage years. And it was just always because I knew there were other presence in the house. And he was, I'm going to tell you how he was dressed because it's going to play a role in a second. He looked like a little chimney sweep from Mary Poppins. He had the whole attire, the hat. He had what looked like soot on him, and I just thought it was because he lived in the attic upstairs, and that's how I justified it. And I just kind of was like, whatever, didn't really talk to him, didn't really converse with him, let it be. I moved out of the house once I went to college and became an adult, bought my house, moved out, and my dad lived in the house last by himself. He was working on selling the house and told me one night that he had a dream. And it was really weird because he was almost being shown the house by someone who he had never seen there, who he didn't know, who was a little kid, and he didn't really understand the importance of this kid, but this kid just wanted to show him around the house. And he was like, it was really daunting because I woke up and he was just kind of looking at me from the end of my bed. And I walked around with him. He didn't say anything. And then we just kind of went on our way, and that was it. And I was like, okay, so tell me more about this little boy. Because mind you, I had never told my family this little boy, what he looked like, anything like that. I just said that I felt like there was something in the house all the time. That's all I said. And he proceeds to tell me that it looks like he has like suspenders on, and like he's from like early 20s, not early 20s, early 1900s, mid 1900s, and that he was like kind of dirty. And I was like, "Oh, that's super interesting. Is there any chance he was wearing like a little hat like a chimney sweep would?" And he goes, "Yeah, it kind of did look like one of those hats." And I was like, "Interesting. Okay." And was he like almost covered in soot, like maybe he was a chimney sweep? And he goes, "Yeah, he was pretty dirty." And I was like, "That's really interesting." And this was a boy, right? Like he was probably like 8, 9. And he was like, "Yeah, that's exactly about how old I would have pegged him for." And I was like, "Yeah, that boy has been living in my bedroom for almost my entire life. And you got to meet him, I guess, because you're the only one there." And he was like, "No, no, no." And I was like, "Yeah, he showed up in your dreams. Probably around 3 a.m. is when he came and popped by, because I know that you go to work at 4:30 a.m." He goes, "Yeah, I was awake for probably like an hour before my alarm went off for me to like go to work." And I was like, "That's interesting. That is interesting." So I convinced my dad that ghosts are real and that I had been seeing his ghost for 15 plus years, and he got to meet him.